G'day, Big V. We are with our Division 1 women here. They have one more round of basketball before we see them jump into finals. It is very, very exciting here as Mark and myself dissect this ladder, and it is ridiculous. There is so much going on here. We have multiple teams that are tied with records. We have some very, very interesting games because some teams towards the bottom of the ladder have had some very, very impressive last 2 or 3 weeks. Warrandyte in particular. Now, apologies. Warrnambool is sitting on top, Mark, 12-4 record, and they come across Warrandyte at home on the Saturday night, and then they're hosted by Altona on the Sunday.
Yeah, that's not an easy weekend at all when you're talking about Warrandyte's current form. If they've got Emmy O'Neill, Asia Strong playing, then they're a chance to beat anybody and everybody. So Warrnambool will have a little bit of a danger game as they've sort of been. They were consistent. They had a couple of weeks a bit quiet, and then they've just got back on the winners list. But a big weekend from them, and because travelling to Altona on Sunday is not going to be it's not going to be an easy job for them at all, because Altona have really come into form, and realistically, if Altona win, they potentially put themselves tied with the likes of Craigieburn and Western Port if Western Port and Craigieburn don't get it done.
Absolutely, it's going to be super interesting. But just before we move on from Warrnambool, they can't drop lower than third.
They can't drop lower than second.
Second, apologies, lower than second.
Yeah, so they've got the top
top
two locked away. So at least they're going to definitely have a double chance. It's just whether they want the week off.
Locked in top 2. Bellarine are sitting second. They have one more game for their season. They're 12-5 record at the moment, and they're hosting Melbourne University. Now, Melbourne Uni have sort of struggled as of late. They haven't had the most amazing season by any means. So you would sort of expect Bellarine to get this win, but I believe they came off a loss this weekend.
Yeah, they did, and they're similar to Warrnambool in terms of we thought they were sort of just humming along. We thought they were clicking, and then they've had a little bit of a bump in the road just before finals. But I'd expect them to get this win. Melbourne Uni certainly haven't been setting the world on fire in recent weeks, so I'd expect Bellarine to get this win, which puts a whole lot more pressure on Warrnambool's weekend.
Absolutely, another team that can finish second or first.
Yeah, correct.
Second or first. So they're either got the week off or they're hosting round 1.
Yeah, and let's give Bellarine a little bit of a shout out, because after finishing in the bottom of the ladder in Division 1 last year, they've turned it around this year with and got themselves to a top 2 finish. So well done to Bellarine.
Absolutely. Mildura sitting in third place, have a 10-7 record, sort of that middle ground, because they're not tied with anyone. They've got teams above them who, like we said, aren't going to move, but there's just so much movement behind them. Now, if they win, they're fine. They're locked in third. They can't do any worse than that.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're away, so they've got to come down to Western Port.
Yeah, that's not an easy win. And sort of Western Port, who started the season on absolute fire, had a couple of injury troubles across the course of the season, but then got a good win on the weekend, just gone. So that's not going to be an easy win for anybody. Mildura, if they win, they obviously lock away that third position, and they go into the second chance situation. With Tyra Johnson and Vanessa Powell's experience in finals, you probably don't want to come across the heat, mind you. But if Western Port win, that'll pretty much secure them a finals berth as well. And I think they came from 4th or 5th last year to end up coming in the top 3, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is a massive, massive game. Keep your eyes looked on that over in Somerville Recreation Centre. If you are doing nothing, do go head down. It'll be huge to watch. Now, Craigieburn, also, they're sitting 4th, 9-8 record. They're being hosted by Chelsea this weekend. What are we going to dissect here?
Well, Chelsea are done for the year. They can't make finals.
Yeah.
However, they've got a new lease on life in the last month.
Yeah.
And they're playing some really good basketball. So, as we've spoken about off mic here, Ted, some of these teams will use that to sort of try and gain momentum ahead of next season.
Yep.
Some teams might just fizzle out.
Yep.
I've picked Chelsea as one of those teams who want to disrupt Craigieburn. Okay, and they'll want to try and knock them out of finals and use that as a little bit of inspiration for the game.
Yeah, I agree, and it gives them something to sort of be happy about at the end of the season, knowing that they're not going to make finals. they're probably going to go out and celebrate after this game because they are at home, whether they stick around the stadium or go elsewhere. They want to sort of finish on a high and knocking off the likes of a team that can possibly make finals and be able to kick them out. Like that's a big competitive edge that they almost have over Craigieburn.
Yeah, that'd be huge. And then last game of the weekend, which we've already sort of touched on, but Altona hosting Warrnambool. Altona will be banking on it. They'll know their fate by the time this game gets around. So if Craigieburn and Western Port have lost both, they might be alive based on the head-to-heads. But let's take into consideration we haven't calculated the heads-to-head prior to this podcast. So they'll know their fate, and it might be one of those situations they just want to finish it off strong to roll into next year.
Yep.
Or they could actually be pushing, depending on their head-to-head situation with Craigieburn and Western Port.
Yeah, so much to dissect here in just one round of basketball. Keep it locked. Division 1 women, there is going to be a lot to talk about in the weeks to come. Catch you very soon.